changes in the mandatory sentencing, but it didn't do things on the front end, but it did do things on the back end, and I've always been a great believer in getting a half loaf instead of no loaf at all. And especially with this administration, if you get something, you do it. So I supported the bill. I think it'll help a lot of our people get out earlier, not as early as they should. And we had a hearing on pardons and paroles yesterday, pardons and commutation in my subcommittee on Wednesday. We had 4 professors or attorneys with great expertise in the area. The president's pardon power is pretty broad. The Constitution gives him the power to pardon except in the case of impeachment. But all 4 panelists, including one that was from George Mason University, who was Republican, the minority witness, agreed that if the president pardoned himself, it'd be considered him giving himself justice. It'd be a self-pardon, and that would be ruled illegal. So the president said, I have ultimate power and can even pardon myself. All 4 of these folks said, no, you do not. And I agree with them. You can't do that. You can't have a king who can pardon him or herself. That was an important panel, because I think he's going to pardon people. And there was some consideration if he tried to pardon people who were involved in this investigation, and by doing it, got them not to give testimony that could implicate him or people in the administration, that could be considered pardon. That could be challenged in court. Whether it be successful or not, I don't know. But I think we need to change the pardon power, and in January put in a bill to do that. Admittedly difficult to do, because it takes 2/3 in the House and 3/4 of the states. But it would say you couldn't pardon anybody who was related to it. It's spelled out: son-in-law, daughter-in-law, wife, etc. Pardon should be for justice and mercy, and there should be a step in between. The president, when he takes his oath, says he swears to take care of the government, take care of the passage of laws in a proper fashion. If you do it in such a way by pardoning your family members, you're not taking care of the responsibility that you swear to uphold. So that was a theory that they said could be used to validate some of that. But I think we can do something good with what we passed. There will be people released early. So in that hearing, the ranking member, Mr. Johnson from Shreveport, ranking members on the other side of the aisle, good guy, he brought out in his hearing, he said President Obama commuted the sentence of 1,700 people convicted of drugs. And he said at least 4, I don't know what at least 4 means, probably means 4, people have gone back to prison since they've gotten their commutations. But we think about that, 1,700 and 4 of them went back for some reason or other. That's not 3%.
It's a quarter of 1%.
Right, 0.3, quarter of 1%. That's a pretty good rate. And to say that you shouldn't, because 4 people, and who knows what they did to go back. They could have just had possession of marijuana and they could put them back. But they did something, because those 4 people did something, 1,696 people should not have been commuted who have been celebrated. That's insane. I do think the president, and Ms. Frederickson, one of our witnesses yesterday, agreed with me, didn't commute enough sentences. There are probably 10 or 15 or 20,000 people whose sentences should have been commuted. But the president set up somewhat of a cumbersome process, very detailed process, to try to make sure that anybody that got out would only be 4 out of 1,700. So I think his statement really buttressed what the president did and endorsed it. Commuting sentences, but he should have commuted more. On the other hand, we had a lady here, Ms. Alice Johnson, whose sentence was commuted. That was wonderful. It was good. There was a man in Nashville whose sentence was commuted. A black gentleman who, I think there were only 2 people whose sentences have been commuted or have gotten pardons, other than the late Jack Johnson. I think that's the only 3 African Americans who've gotten sentences commuted. One man who's been dead for 75 years, Jack Johnson, he's a dandy. And these 2 individuals, and one of the individuals, Ms. Johnson, how did she get her commutation? Because Kim Kardashian took up her cause. There are tens of thousands of people in jail who Kim Kardashian doesn't know about. And so they get no consideration. He commuted Scooter Libby, or gave Scooter Libby a pardon. He'd already been commuted, gave him a pardon. He gave some other celebrity, Arpaio. He pardoned Joe Arpaio. And Joe Arpaio had violated a court order. If the court can't enforce their orders, you don't have justice. justice has to be able to enforce its orders. He went ahead and kept violating people's civil rights after the court had said stop doing that, and he kept doing it, and then the president basically said, I'm thumbing my nose at the court, and he pardoned him. That's in the Ninth Circuit right now, whether that was permissible or not. And there'll be a hearing in the Ninth Circuit. He's asked for a list of celebrities to be pardoned, not for a list of people who've been hurt by a drug war that was a failure. So it's a terrible situation we've got.
I have a question.
Who's next?
I have a question.
Yes, sir, I got one. How you doing? I'm Joe Chambers. I wrote your office on several occasions in regards to federally convicted and 3-strike laws as far as a lot of people, relatives and people that I know from my community have been convicted. And some of them have 3-strike laws that's incarcerated now. And the 3-strike law mainly was for marijuana. But my thing is anything.
And the third strike could be a very small amount of marijuana.
Yeah, well, is anything in place to kind of deal with that issue based on the fact that regardless to how minor the infraction was, they still probably got life in prison or either 20 to 40 years or however long it is.
We can't do anything about state laws, but we can do federal laws, and we've been trying to change those. That's why a lot of people didn't think that the bill that passed, the Kushner bill, was good because it didn't change mandatory minimums on the front end. But again, half loaf's better than no loaf, and maybe we can get there. There are too many long sentences and 3-strike you're out sentences, and this was supposed to be done in the 90s.
I can see.
They were wrong. We didn't get
You
the
can
crack
sit there.
cocaine disparity change.
All right.
But people who were under that needed cocaine, they would have to be retroactive and have their sentences reduced too. But
Okay.
on the federal system, I'm all with you.
Okay, on the federal, I was convicted in '04 federally. And I got all my rights back, and I've been fighting, trying to get I was a firearm instructor, so that wiped out my ability to teach firearms. But I did get a letter in the mail that they do have a program for a reinstatement of your firearm, which I got everything back. I went through all the details and it was frivolous and bogus what it was, but I still got my stuff back. But they told me that there is no money in the program for them to be able to activate people such as ex-law enforcement officers, ex-correction officers that get convicted federally with probably don't have nothing to do with firearms, but still, that's a life sentence, I think, from the federal perspective. Now, you got state convicted citizens that get all their rights back, including their gun rights. They get everything back after they do whatever it is they have to do from the court's perspective. But I don't think it's fair for state convicted citizens to get their rights back. And I'm talking on stuff that I walked through. I went down, talked with Leslie about it, talked with all of them, and he was just saying state, if it was state, we could help you. But federally, there's no money in the program for you all to get your rights back, and we stand there, 3 or 4 of us, about 3 or 4 of them got them back, and we federally convicted guys.
And Leslie's suggestion is a problem with finances and money.
That's what the letter said.
Get us a copy of the letter, and I'll look into it during the appropriations process.
Okay.
Who is it, the AFT or is it the courts?
It's the ATF.
ATF?
They say that no money is in the program for them to get people rights back in that area right now.
Well, let me get a copy of that letter, and I'll try to do something in the appropriations
Who
process.
do I give it?
Wiley Henry here. Thank
Okay,
you, sir.
okay, Steve,
Excuse me. Who
around
else?
the nation,
Excuse me.
people, the economy is
Excuse me,
improving,
I'm Congressman
people
Cohen.
are getting
Hello, everybody.
jobs.
And this is my
This
meeting,
community
so
is
who
not
here
getting
has
the
a
jobs
question?
that they need because you continue
Who has a question?
to obstruct,
Yes, ma'am.
you continue to lie, and you continue to disrespect people like myself who is trying to have a voice. My name is Charlotte Bergmann. I am a state executive committee woman representing District 33, and I would like to be respected in this community. And you have just shown that you've disrespected me, just as you disrespected Star Parker. Sir, you represent these people. These people are asking questions about personal things in their lives, and you want to concentrate on the president and continue the lie.
Hello. Anybody here?
He's talked about the president one time.
No, he hasn't, multiple times. But I'm finished. We need a collaborative representative.
Run